do you know the questions you should ask before you get a crochet retwist? Just in case you don't know, I would like to offer you just a few questions to ask so that you make sure, 1, you're the right candidate, 2, you avoid any thinning and damage to the hair, because that is definitely a real possibility, and 3, you make sure your expectations are met or exceeded with your next crochet retwist. You're in the right place if you're about to get a crochet retwist, you just had a crochet retwist, or you've been kind of thinking about whether or not you should get a retwist. If you're just doing a little bit of research, make sure you check out part 1 to this video. What is a crochet retwist? You can check it out right here. And then come on back to this video to make sure that you're asking the right questions. Just in case you're new here, my name is Jocelyn Renee, and you can think of me as your digital loctician. And my goal is to make sure you are cultivating the healthiest set of locks possible. I do that through these videos. I offer a live Q&A with a loctician every Thursday, and I also offer advanced and beginner hair locking classes in my online academy. You can find the links to be a part of the community right down below. And if nothing else, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you get notified of all the cool things. And now that we have the formalities out the way, let's get into these questions. These questions are in no particular order. However, I will break down why these questions are important after I share them with you, just in case you're just like, what are the questions? Let me go ahead and get out of here. I understand you're busy, and I like to keep things very short to the point. So, first question, how will this technique affect my locking process? Question number 2, how often will I need to do this? What size or sizes of crochet hooks are you going to be using on my hair type? Are you going to wash my hair?
Ooh, I've seen people use like scissors and thread. Is that how you do your crochet technique?
Ooh, and another good question to ask is,
can I touch the product that you'll be using on my hair?
I just want to see how it feels. So those are some of the most important questions I believe you should ask during your consultation. And that being said, I would highly, highly, highly recommend you are always scheduling a consultation before any services. I don't care if it's a retwist, I don't care if it's a touch-up, I don't care if it's just like, let me check your scalp. Consultation, consultation, consultation. Very important. I will also, in the description box, leave you chapter markers for each of the questions, just in case one of those questions really stood out to you and you want to know the why behind it, more so than any of the other questions. You can check down below, just go ahead, scroll down real quick, and you can see the marker or the timestamp where that question is talked about in more detail. You can jump right there. All right, so let's break down these questions. Number 1, how will this technique affect my locking process? This is a great question to ask because the crochet retwist or the crochet grooming method is something that can be offered at any stage. You know, there are people who start locks with crochet, there are people who get lock repairs with crochet, there are even people that, probably while you're here, choose to groom and maintain their locks with the crochet method. And if you've never done any of those things, finding out how doing the crochet method will affect your locks, I'd say it's a pretty good thing to know. But here's the thing, when you're asking a professional this question, if they're just doing it, maybe they just, you know, stumbled upon it on YouTube or saw it in a video on TikTok and they're like,
oh, I got crochet hooks, you know, my grandma used to crochet, I could stick a needle in someone's head.
If they're just doing it, you know, just because they saw it, they're probably not going to be able to answer this question because they're not sure how it would affect your locking process. So you want to be very mindful to listen out for details about your hair, your locks, and what you can expect. If it's a very general, broad answer or suggestion, or maybe even just a guess, it's probably a red flag to stay away from their chair for this method. The next question is, how often will I have to do this? This is a great question to find out how invested they are in your hair care. I say this because this technique, because it's using a tool, you don't want to do it too often. And it's also something that is only meant to be worked on in the root area of your lock. And we know the root is the foundation of everything, you know, healthy scalp, healthy roots, healthy locks. It's not healthy at the root. The health of your lock, it's debatable. So we want to make sure we're taking the greatest care of that foundation. So finding out how often they're recommending this technique, or if they would even recommend you come back often. This is a key question that's going to get you those answers. The next question is the whole reason why I started this series, and it's also the reason why I like cringe whenever I'm like watching people do this method on social media, because they're just like ripping through people's hair, and it's just like pop, 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 and they're just like taking strands out. Like, ooh, that just, it hurts my heart. You guys, those hooks you can just readily buy at the craft store, no, they're not for locks. At least healthy locks. Like, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't do it, but again, my goal is to make sure you're cultivating the healthiest of the locks possible. So with that being said, a micro crochet hook is ideal to be used. And so that size is not readily available at a craft store, because who's out here at the craft store with a micro crochet hook? It's a specialty tool, just like this service is a specialty service. So I say all that to say, asking what size or what sizes of crochet hooks will they recommend for your hair type, which is also key, because not everybody's hair type uses the same size hook. And so the answer to that question is going to let you know how many red flags should be popping up in your mind. The next question, will you wash my hair? Now this question can go a bunch of different ways. It can go in a way of like, I want to know how clean you are. Like, are you just out here just crocheting everyone's dirty scalps that walk through the door and like using that same hook on me? It could also go in the direction of how much of my frizz and of my root area are you going to be able to control, because are you going to see my hair when it's in its dry state, or are you going to see it in its wet state? So asking whether or not your hair will be washed before or after the technique will let you know the cleanliness of the environment you're about to step into, and also what type of expectation you should set as far as how long this crochet technique will last. And the next question is kind of like a trick bag, right? You know, I've seen people use thread and scissors before for this. Is that something you do? This is kind of like to, you know, kind of like dole out the rope and let them trip on it, if you will. Because scissors and thread and just anything other than the micro crochet hook should not be used during this process. But if they use some additional things, this is kind of like that open-ended question to be like, oh yeah, I do, you know, sometimes thread it together to get the lock to combine seamlessly, and it's just like, oh, red flag, no thread, okay? Or yeah, I do sometimes use scissors to, you know, cut, you know, really resistant frizz off the lock. Stay away, okay? So you can use this question and insert any other type of problematic things you may have seen and just see where the answer takes you. And the last question is also probably a trick bag too, but asking if you can touch the product they use. One, is going to let you kind of go behind the chair and see what type of products they're using, feel it on your skin before it's in your hair. And also with the crochet technique, you don't need any product. So if they are using the product with the crochet technique, this is your opportunity to ask why and how much, and is it necessary? Can I not have that? You know, this is an opportunity for you to speak up for yourself, and also just kind of get to better understand their philosophy behind the chair, because not all locticians are created equal. We talked about this in a live broadcast before, but it's also to say that you have certain things in your mind, and so making sure your expectations are communicated, as well as giving them space to share how they do things, will make sure that you both are entering this crochet retwist together. And you're not blindsided by your locks hanging on by a thread, them thinning, them, you know, not being what you expected. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If there are any other questions that you may have asked during your consultation with a loctician that you felt were helpful, drop those in the comments below. And if you have any other questions about the crochet retwist, make sure you go back, watch part 1. What is a crochet retwist? You can check it out right here. And if after watching this video, you're just like, I can't find no loctician in my area to do this, but I really want my roots groomed with the crochet method, if that's you, make sure you check the description box and enroll in the Crochet Techniques for Grooming online class. I will teach you how to groom your locks using the crochet technique right from your own home. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'm wishing you peace, love, and goodbye!